You can have my daughter's room, dear. She's in Australia. She won't be needing it again.
Thank you,
said Will, and stood up as if he were in a hurry to leave.
But where are you going to be?
I'm going to be staying with a friend. I'll phone up as often as I can. I've got your number. It'll be all right.
His mother was looking at him, bewildered. He bent over and kissed her clumsily.
Don't worry. Mrs. Cooper will look after you better than me, honest. And I'll phone up and talk to you tomorrow.
They hugged tightly, and then Will kissed her again and gently unfastened her arms from his neck before going to the front door. Mrs. Cooper could see he was upset, because his eyes were glistening, but he turned, remembering his manners, and held out his hand.
Goodbye, and thank you very much.
William, I wish you'd tell me what the matter is.
It's a bit complicated, but she won't be any trouble, honestly.
That wasn't what she meant, and both of them knew it. But somehow Will was in charge of this business, whatever it was. The old lady thought she'd never seen a child so implacable. He turned away, already thinking about the empty house. The close where Will and his mother lived was a loop of road in a modern estate with a dozen identical houses, of which theirs was by far the shabbiest. The front garden was just a patch of weedy grass. His mother had planted some shrubs earlier in the year, but they'd shriveled and died for lack of watering. As Will came round the corner, his cat, Moxie, rose up from her favourite spot under the still-living hydrangea and stretched before greeting him with a soft meow and butting her head against his leg. He picked her up and whispered,
Have they come back, Moxie? Have you seen them?
The house was silent. In the last of the evening light, the man across the road was washing his car, but he took no notice of Will, and Will didn't look at him. The less notice people took, the better. Holding Moxie against his chest, he unlocked the door and went in quickly. Then he listened very carefully before putting her down. There was nothing to hear. The house was empty. He opened a tin for Moxie and left her to eat in the kitchen. How long before the men came back? There was no way of telling, so he'd better move quickly. He went upstairs and began to search. He was looking for a battered green leather writing case. There are a surprising number of places to hide something that size, even in any ordinary modern house. You don't need secret panels and extensive cellars in order to make something hard to find. Will searched his mother's bedroom first, ashamed to be looking through the drawers where she kept her underclothes, and then he worked systematically through the rest of the rooms upstairs, even his own. Moxie came to see what he was doing and sat and cleaned herself nearby, for company. But he didn't find it. By that time it was dark and he was hungry. He made himself baked beans on toast and sat at the kitchen table wondering about the best order to look through the downstairs rooms. As he was finishing his meal, the phone rang. He sat absolutely still, his heart thumping. He counted. 26 rings, and then it stopped. He put his plate in the sink and started to search again. 4 hours later, he still hadn't found the green leather case. It was 1:30, and he was exhausted. He lay on his bed fully clothed and fell asleep at once, his dreams tense and crowded, his mother's unhappy, frightened face always there, just out of reach. And almost at once, it seemed, though he'd been asleep for nearly 3 hours, he woke up knowing two things simultaneously. First, he knew where the case was, and second, he knew that the men were downstairs, opening the kitchen door. He lifted Moxie out of the way and softly hushed her sleepy protest. Then he swung his legs over the side of the bed and put on his shoes, straining every nerve to hear the sounds from downstairs. They were very quiet sounds, a chair being lifted and replaced, a short whisper, the creak of a floorboard. Moving more silently than the men were, he left his bedroom and tiptoed to the spare room at the top of the stairs. It wasn't quite pitch dark, and in the ghostly grey pre-dawn light he could see the old treadle sewing machine. He'd been through the room thoroughly only hours before, but he'd forgotten the compartment at the side of the sewing machine where all the patterns and bobbins were kept. He felt for it delicately, listening all the while. The men were moving about downstairs, and Will could see a dim flicker of light that might have been a flashlight at the edge of the door. Then he found the catch of the compartment and clicked it open, and there, just as he'd known it would be, was the leather writing case. And now what could he do? He crouched in the dimness, heart pounding, listening hard. The two men were in the hall downstairs. He heard one of them say quietly,
"Come on. I can hear the milkman down the road."
It's not here, though. We'll have to look upstairs.
Go on, then. Don't hang about.
Will braced himself as he heard the quiet creak of the top step. The man was making no noise at all, but he couldn't help the creak if he wasn't expecting it. Then there was a pause. A very thin beam of flashlight swept along the floor outside. Will saw it through the crack. Then the door began to move.